What's up, guys?
Welcome back to the YouTube.
Today we're having yet another podcast-esque episode. Last time in Convo 1, we talked kind of about our individual journeys in our queerness, I guess.
Yeah.
Just like coming out and stuff. And now we're talking more about us as a couple.
And our relationship journey.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen us here before, we're Malin and Jules. We make Masc4Masc content here on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Same username on all 3 platforms.
Yeah. All right, let's dive in, I guess.
You guys submitted some questions to us on TikTok and Instagram, and we're going to answer those today. We can do a little intro kind of just about ourselves if you guys haven't really seen us before. Like we said, Masc4Masc couple. We've been dating for about 2.5 years. We met in Portugal on a surf camp.
If you want to know more about our story and of how we met and stuff, there's 2 videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's called like Meet Cute Part 1 and 2.
Go check it out. But anyways, let's dive right on into the questions that you guys have submitted. First question submitted by Avalon. Could you 2 tell us more about your previous relationships/journey before we started dating? You don't have previous relationships.
No, this is my first real relationship. Like, I've had situationships, I guess, a little bit before. Like, I've dated people, but only men prior to you.
Yeah.
It was very new for me when we started dating, both like being in a relationship for the first time and also dating a woman.
Yeah. I mean, this is also it's my first queer relationship. I've dated guys in the past. I came out at 24. At that time, I was dating a guy I had dated for 4.5 years and moved from California to Sweden with.
And this was like 6 months before we met.
Yeah. And so it was at it was in that relationship that I realized I was queer. Yeah, and then I came out and had my own little queer journey before we met. But I haven't, this is also my first queer relationship. I had some situationships and things before this, but nothing like this. My previous relationship experience is mostly straight relationships. My experience in those was just like, I never really felt like I had the feelings that I should have for the person I was with.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was with for 4.5 years, he's an amazing, incredible person. And I was just always like so confused as to why I just couldn't really like feel that connection, that love, that desire.
Yeah.
And it really came to a head toward the end of the relationship when I was like, oh, maybe that's because I don't like men.
Yeah. And you also explained it to me quite well at some point of like when you imagined in your head of just like maybe this will end someday.
Yeah, I was never sad.
Yeah, that didn't make you sad.
And none of the relationships with guys I'd been with, I never felt like if this ended right now, I would be devastated. It was always just like, yeah, I'd move on.
Yeah.
I'd move on pretty fast. During the relationship, when I had those feelings, that made me feel really shitty about myself because it made me feel like I was incapable of loving someone. Like during that whole 4.5 years while I was with him, I was like, in the second half of it, when I really started kind of, questioning things or just not feeling like 100% committed, I was just asking myself, like, is this just like the most love that I'm capable of experiencing? Yeah. Like, is there something wrong with me? I truly thought that I was incapable of fully loving somebody. Which is so sad. Which is really sad. And I think it's a common experience among queer people who, before they realized, because I wasn't knowingly suppressing my queerness. I didn't know I was gay. So it just didn't make sense to me as to why I couldn't develop deeper connections and feelings with men.
I didn't really get sex before I met you.
Yeah.
I was just like, why is everybody hyping this up? Yeah. It's like not that great.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, I guess.
I guess that was nice. Even then, like, I was with guys that knew what they were doing. Yeah. Like, they weren't bad in bed. But I was just like,
yeah. Okay, next question.
Moving on.
This seems like it's going to be a little chaotic. We're winging all of these answers.
Yeah.
So enjoy.
You're getting the real us.
But Jody, one of their first questions was, what's your favorite way to unwind? I guess other than surfing.
I think just that the fact that we live together is so nice. And because like when I get back home, usually that's sometime in the afternoon, I just love greeting you with like hugs and kisses.
Yeah. I like running to the door.
Sappy and gross. No, but just like a quiet night in, like cooking with you.
Yeah. And me being sous chef.
And you being sous chef, just keeping me company.
Yeah.
And then, like, putting on a show.
Yeah.
It's a great way to unwind.
Yeah. I feel like our ways of unwinding are a little different depending on where we are. You know, we said we live in Stockholm. That's where we are currently. But I'm originally from San Diego. That's why I probably sound very American. Although some people think I have an accent. I don't know. Yeah, like in San Diego, we love to surf.
And it's very peaceful if you're out there and it's a gorgeous day.
Yeah.
And it's like not that many people and it's glassy. Like that's very
and
peaceful.
That's unwinding and peaceful.
Unwinding.
Yeah. Our way here of unwinding is, like you said, we really love to just watch a show in the evening in bed. We have our cute little apartment here and it's really cozy.
Our apartment really is like cozy.
Yeah, we've really worked hard on this apartment.
Yeah.
And we love it. It's very much home for us.
Absolutely.
All right, next question. Let's see. They asked,
I think it's this.
Yeah. That's their name.
That's the name.
Of the person who submitted this. What has been the best thing about being with another mask? That's an easy answer. Oh no.
Are you just gonna be like sharing clothes?
Yeah. No,
I would say
there's different answers.
Different answer. That's a very like superficial, great thing about being Masc4Masc, and also just being the same like height.
We our entire closet is fully shared. At this point, like when we first started dating, there was a little split. Like there was some things that were mine that you would not wear, and vice versa. But at this point, pretty much every single thing in the closet we both wear, and we both like. Same with shoes. We have the same shoe size, same clothing size for everything. But the non-superficial
one would say just like our shared experience of growing up and being very tomboy and kind of knowing exactly how the lived experience of that.
Yeah. And I think now presenting as we do, like I really love having a partner who also gets confused for a man.
Yeah.
Because you understand the struggles of like sometimes being misgendered, sometimes being judged going into women's only spaces, and like it's quite comforting for me to be able to talk with you about it, and because it can get really emotional, it gets really triggering and traumatic, and it gives me anxiety. I have anxiety using any public space that is dedicated only to women. Like anytime I walk in, I worry, am I going to have a very uncomfortable confrontation right now? But you understand that, and that's actually, it's quite nice to share. It sucks that we have to share these worries and experiences, but it is like nice that you understand and that we understand one another.
Totally.
And that's, I think, is probably one of the best things about being Masc4Masc. Nobody can understand my lived experience as well as somebody who also presents Masc.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and also just like we relate to like kind of losing ourselves in like late teens, or all of your teens, but late teens for me, of like trying to fit in with more heteronormativity, dressing more femme, but like really didn't feel like us. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quite fun. Like we like to reflect on our childhood, and we have, despite the fact that we grew up on opposite sides of the world, we have so many shared childhood experiences just because we both grew up very tomboy. But yeah, that's what's awesome about being Masc4Masc.
Yeah.
Another question submitted by the same person. When did you realize you love each other? I think I have a good answer for that.
Yeah, you have a great answer.
So we met in the beginning of summer in 2022. Mm-hmm. And so every single day of summer, like we were both off because we were both in school. So we didn't have like, you worked every now and then, but not really that much. And so anytime you weren't working, we pretty much hung out every day. So we spent a lot of time together. Yeah. And I think we took our first little trip together to Gothenburg. And yeah, so we went down there to go visit a mutual friend from the surf camp. And then close to Gothenburg is a little surf town called Varberg. And we took a little day trip there and went surfing in Sweden. Yeah. For me, that was the first time. And this was how soon into our relationship? Like
a month?
A month in. Like, I think it was like 2 weeks after we made it official.
2 weeks after we made it official.
And I think it was like a month and a half of knowing each other.
Yeah, we're just like 2 weeks into us being official. We're just like, let's go on a trip.
Yeah. And so it was during this time when we were at this little surf town. It was really crappy weather, because in Sweden, for there to be surf, it has to be really, really windy.
Yeah.
So it's usually not pretty. So we were here. It was sunny, but it was windy.
Windy as
like you couldn't walk straight.
No.
But yeah, so we were there and we had a great time. We surfed as much as we could. It wasn't great waves, but we had so much fun. And this was our first trip, and every single thing about the trip, it was so easy with you.
Yeah.
It was just the whole traveling down there, doing everything was so easy.
Yeah. Because you guys know how like couples will pretty much always fight on like a trip.
Yeah.
We don't
it's
do
like
that.
A make or break kind of thing.
Yeah, but we don't do that.
Yeah. And it was the easiest thing. And so we went surfing and we had such a good time, and then we were just going to hang out at this little beach town all day. And so we're walking like the little boardwalk area, and we're just, very new in love, or like very new.
In love.
But nobody had said it yet, but we're very new into this relationship. So, we're like very clingy and just like lovey-dovey and kissing each other. And it was just like I just remember walking up and down this boardwalk, and we're just like having fun, sharing like a really fun experience. And we just sat there at the beach, and I was just like, in my head in that moment, I remember having the thought of just like, I really want to tell you I love you. Like that was the moment I knew, because it was just so peaceful. Like everything with you was so easy. It was so fun. It was, I don't know how else to say it. Like it was just like, I just knew right there. Yeah. And the fact that you liked surfing too was just like just a bonus. Yeah. Because now we can go on surf trips together, and it makes me so happy. But yeah, it was just sitting there together and just at the beach, and just like this moment right now was so peaceful, and it was just so I don't know. I really don't know how to talk about it, but I just remember having the thought of like, God damn, I really want to tell you I love you. But we were dating for 2 weeks, and I've been in relationships before, and you hadn't, and I didn't want to be moving too fast. Yeah. So I waited.
I kind of, 3 days. Throughout like the beginning of our entire relationship, I just kind of waited on you to take the next step. Yeah. Because I really had no idea because I haven't been in a relationship before, so I was just like, what is normal? I'm just gonna sit back and let Jules figure this out for us.
Yeah. But I was also afraid, like I just didn't want to be moving too fast for you. But yeah, I think I waited after that little trip down to the coast.
A few days.
I waited about 3 days, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. And then I confessed my love to you.
And it was over really breakfast.
Cute. The way I told you, the way we said I love you for the first time was we were at my place. Yeah. And we woke up, and we made breakfast, like pancakes. It was a really delicious breakfast. Yeah. And I was playing music. Yeah. It was like cute little morning mix music. And there was these songs coming on, and if the song was like referencing love, I would like, because we would always be singing. We've always sung like songs together since the surf camp that we met at. Yeah. So like we were just singing songs in the morning, having our breakfast. But this time when like the song would talk about like love or something, instead of averting my eyes, I was like trying to like hint at you and like stare at you while I was singing the lyrics. Yeah. But then like you weren't getting the hint.
So you wanted me to say it?
I wanted you to say it first, because I was afraid I was taking it too far, like too fast.
Yeah, I get that.
So, but then I couldn't hold on to it anymore. And so then the song Allt det vackra by Benjamin Ingrosso came on.
Which means everything that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
But sadly, it is a song about a breakup. Yeah. It is like, we consider it one of our songs. Yeah. Or like probably the major one song. But it's like,
it's not a happy ending.
Although the chorus is very beautiful, it's not a happy ending.
Yeah. But like, it's specifically a line in the song that translates to all beautiful things are in front of me. Or in front of us. Yeah. And it was basically that line that I was just like singing and looking at you and like saying it. And then that song ended, and, like, my heart was beating, because I was afraid you wouldn't say it back, because it was too soon. And I was just like, I love you. And then you're like, I love you too. And then it was emotional, and I was really happy.
Yeah.
And now that has become our song, but it's not the most positive song. So we have other songs as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's also the story of how we said I love you first.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a question about, this is less about us, and just more of a general question about Sweden and being queer.
Carmen K16 asked us how queer-friendly Sweden is.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the safest countries to be queer in.
Absolutely.
There's as far as I know, there's very little hate crime against queer people.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we're not aware of our surroundings every time we're outside, because there's crazies everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And you don't want this false sense of security. But we do feel quite safe here.
I don't ever feel unsafe walking around.
Yeah. But you get stares at.
Absolutely. That happens pretty much anywhere in the world, that some people will just stare.
Yeah.
Just be like, but I think it's more so in that they're confused about our gender than us being together.
Yeah.
They're just like, is that a lesbian or a gay couple?
Yeah. I really think a lot of people think we're just two gay men.
Yeah. I mean, slay.
Regardless, that's also the great thing about being Masc4Masc, is no matter what they think our gender is, they'll never mistake us for
a straight couple.
So
I would say Sweden is very safe for LGBTQIA plus people.
Yeah, but that's also to say Stockholm. Maybe, I don't know, I don't have much experience of, like, the very rural parts of Sweden. No. I've been to a few, but not since I've been out and queer presenting.
But I feel like that's a common thing everywhere. That being said, community here in Stockholm is lacking. And that's what we're trying to fix with our event called Flatmates. So go follow Flatmates.
This is kind of a fun question. Do you have any go-to songs or playlists that match your chill vibes and, quote, movie star in a leather jacket style? I loved that question. Thanks for that one, Jody. That was a fun question. I'm going to have to look up, like, some of my playlists, but I think my go-to playlist when I just want something vibey is I often will use a playlist from the account Every Other Thursday. They're also a clothing brand.
It's a clothing brand run by Ethan Glenn.
Yeah, shout out.
He makes really great clothing, and he seems like the most chill guy ever. And he has this account on Spotify that is named Every Other Thursday, just like his brand. And he has a bunch of playlists that kind of will describe a vibe. Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's grab dinner later. Vinyl cafe. Something late at night.
Yeah.
Sunday on a European patio. So we will just choose based on what the vibe we're feeling.
And it's a great way to find, like, new artists and stuff 100%. That way, because it's mostly filled with music that I've never really heard before. So it's great for, like, a party or, like, a dinner party and stuff. I usually use one of those. But one of my favorite all-time playlists from that, You Plus Me in the Kitchen.
Also, like, another tip of mine is that if you can think of one song that kind of matches the vibe that you want right now, just go to the radio of that song.
Yeah. This is another Jody question here. Do you ever share style tips with each other? And what are our style or outfit inspos?
I feel like we'll always ask each other, what do you think of this fit?
Yeah. Like, I always want your approval.
Which pants should I choose? These ones or these ones?
Yeah.
I always want your approval as well.
Yeah. I think it's just great because it's so helpful that we have similar style as well. And sometimes I'm just like, I need to know what it looks like in another person's eyes. Yeah. Like, and sometimes I just can't tell when I'm looking, even in a mirror. I'm like, maybe it just looks different.
Sometimes I'll ask you to put on the outfit that I want to wear and just like, okay, let me analyze.
It's great. And it's like, we do that a lot when thrifting. You're like, if you wanted a shirt, you're like, you tried it on and you weren't sure. I'm like, okay, now I'll try it on so you could see how it looks.
Yeah.
Even though we do have different, like, kind of shapes to our bodies, it still, like, gives you a good idea of how it would sit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of, we always ask for each other's tips.
And often if I don't like it on you, I would definitely not like it on myself.
And style inspos. I think current ones, we take inspo from Benjamin Ingrosso.
Yeah. Swedish artist. He's touring in February in the US. The guys from Euromane and Pinup Rags. Very niche guys, but you should check it out.
Like, they're exactly how we want to dress. Like, the coolest selvage denim, like, best fitted jeans with, like, the perfect fitting, like, baby tee.
Yeah.
Little slutty top, big pants.
Yeah.
That's
just
exactly
like really, which is great because they really focus on just like quality garment. Or like now that our style is more curated, you care more about like fabrics and stuff and just wanting it to look like making a simple outfit look hella nice.
Yeah. But the shape, the silhouette is like, that's kind of what we go for now. It's just how the silhouette looks on us.
Yeah. There's tons of creators on TikTok and Instagram that I draw inspiration from. Next question.
What's the one small thing you both do for each other that always makes the day a little better? I mean, I'm going to go through, like, from morning to evening, like, what kind of routines do we have?
You, I feel like more often than not, bring me coffee.
In bed.
When we're off.
Yeah.
Because when I go to school, I'm usually up before you.
Yeah.
I often cook us brekkie.
Yeah.
Just last night, you filled my water bottle.
Yeah, I do a lot of...
bed. And you were also in bed, and I had just laid down, and you had been in your bed for so long. In our bed.
Yeah, I was bed. Like, we sleep in the same bed.
You had been in bed for so long, and you were all cozy under the blanket, and I had, like, literally just laid down. And I was just like, I forgot to fill my water. And I was whiny about that. And then you were like, I got
fine, I'll do it. And I do that almost every time, even though I've been comfy and cozy and warm in bed.
But usually I am in bed earlier than you are.
That's true.
So then while you're up, I'll be like, please and thank you.
Yeah. Just small things like that are just to show that we care for one another.
Get each other a toothbrush, that's like 50-50.
Yeah. Like toothpaste and like
while one's still on the couch, just like, here's your toothbrush.
Somebody's giving the other person a toothbrush almost every night.
Just like small things, just helping each other out in like chores at home.
We had one question more just for you. Yeah. And they were wondering if Malin can ever be a doctor in the US.
The answer to that is yes and no. If I want to transfer my license that I will eventually get here in Sweden to a US one, I'll have to go through 3 tests. It takes like 3 years to study for the tests in total. Like, they're huge tests. It's like 30,000 flashcards or something crazy like that. Each test is $1,000. So $3,000 total, 3 years. And just a lot of time. Like, I would be so busy just studying. That doesn't feel worth it to me. And also, like, working clinically in the US, I don't know if I want to do that. It's all, like, insurance cases. And work-life balance doesn't really exist for, like, clinical doctors. But I would love to, like, work non-clinically in the US. Like, but I can't just go to US tomorrow and be like, I'm gonna work as a doctor.
But you can anywhere in the EU, basically.
Yeah, basically.
What's your secret to keeping things so chill even when life gets busy? Maybe I could start this off.
Yeah, start off.
I could start it off by saying I have not always been this chill. In high school, like, up until, I mean, honestly, like, middle of college, I was a very type A, very stressed, just working myself away all the time. And I think that's, maybe a lot of women with ADHD could relate. There's just, women present differently with ADHD. I only got my ADHD diagnosis like 2 years ago. So it's still relatively new for me. But during that process of getting diagnosed, it made me reflect a lot on my past and when I was younger. And all throughout my entire life, even as like a young child in elementary school, I had so much pressure on myself to get straight A's all the time that, like, I would cry if I got anything other. I put so much stress on myself. I think I missed homework one time in all of elementary school, and I bawled my eyes out. And it's not that I forgot to do it. It was that I left it at home. And I just was just like, oh my God, I'm the worst person ever. I grew up feeling I put so much pressure on myself. And I was in high school, I just remember I was so stressed. I was the most stressed person ever. And all I did was like advanced classes and sports. And that's all I did as a teenager. And yeah, it was a lot. And I started realizing in college that this is unhealthy and it's not sustainable. And so I started trying to shift and started trying to, ask myself, is stressing over this moment, is it going to help? And pretty much 99.9% of the time, the answer is no. Like,
what, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No.
But what made you, was there like specific thing that happened that made you realize that just this isn't working?
My freshman year of college was the most like stressful period of my life, I think. Just because I was playing college soccer, D1, but I was injured the entire year. Like, I got injury after injury after injury. Like, I think for the entire year that I was on the team, I was cleared to play for like 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks of the entire year I was healthy.
Yeah, and you didn't even have a game.
And I didn't have a game. Yeah, so I never actually ended up being able to play, which really sucks. But yeah, I just had injury after injury after injury, and my entire life was up to that point was dedicated to playing soccer and doing something with soccer, like after college, playing pro for a little bit and then moving on with my life, because everything in my life was dedicated to that. So coming in at freshman year to college and just it not going the way I wanted it to was devastating to me, and I had no idea how to handle all that emotion that I was feeling. I was alone because, I'm living in college. I'm not with my parents. And I think I had like my first breakdown. Like, yeah. I just remember feeling, I was feeling horrible. And I had all these stress reactions. I got like psoriasis that was like horrendous, that wouldn't go away because I was so stressed. I had just so much going on. And I think that was the time. And then I decided to quit soccer because it just felt my body was telling me no. And I had to listen to it. And it was kind of around that time where I started trying to listen to my body more and realized that, no, I need to change the way I'm living. It made me realize that all the stress and all the pressure I'd put on myself, both the years leading up to it,
physically and mentally.
Yeah.
And when your physical thing broke down, kind of you realized, okay, if I don't like change the way I'm thinking about all of this, the way I'm like going about life, if I don't change the way I'm like stressing over everything, mentally my brain is going to crash as well.
Yeah. And that's what happened. Yeah. I mean, when I wasn't able to be physically active and like have that outlet, my mental health crashed.
Yeah.
And that's it's unhealthy for your mental health to rely solely on your physical health and other things.
Yeah.
Because injuries happen, and you have to be able to mentally get through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of that. By the end of college, I had made pretty much an entire like 180, flipped a whole 180 from the beginning of college to the end, to being like from type A person to like the most chill, laid back person. It comes with age. For some people, it takes a little longer to kind of figure out how to deal with stress in a healthy, sustainable way.
Yeah.
It helps me to be able to just talk through it with you when I'm feeling. I still get very overwhelmed, very emotional. Like,
that's probably a part of your like ADHD.
Absolutely. I feel like
even though like you've worked away, you're more chill now compared to like when you were type A. You still have ADHD, so you will still have those tendencies of like getting overwhelmed, getting anxiety, and like being stuck in your head.
Absolutely. It's just not as often now. And what helps for me is I'm very grateful to have you that, but even before we met, what would help just personally was just talking it out to somebody that I felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
So before we met, I had a close friend that, I would just go and rant with her.
Yeah.
Or I had a therapist as well.
Yeah.
That was very helpful.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, it just helps me to just vent. And then once I've kind of just let it all out, then I feel better.
Yeah.
That's how I deal with it.
For me, I would say I've been quite a like chill person pretty much all my life. I think it has a lot to do with like confidence and just believing in yourself. That kind of calms me down. I'm not often stressed, but that also makes it when I am stressed, the few times that I get stressed, I get overwhelmed because I'm not used to the feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm just like crying and everything comes up. And like I don't cry often, but when I cry, I fucking bawl.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, oh, this isn't gonna work. I'm so ugly and fat.
Stop.
No,
I know, but I don't even like hearing it when you. I know.
That's what happens. But I would say that I am a very chill person, and that's a comment that I get quite often in real life.
Okay, last question for today's episode, or it's like a 3-parter.
Okay.
How are you both so well-spoken and confident when you speak? How do you always manage to keep a good conversation, especially during your TikTok lives and vlogs? It feels like there's never any awkwardness or pauses or voids when it's the two of you talking. You answer questions clearly. Yeah. I think
we're very social people, very extroverted.
Yeah. And I like I said, I have ADHD. I'm a yapper. I'm a professional yapper.
I am a great listener.
Yeah.
Which I love that about you, that you can yap. Because sometimes I'm like, I have nothing going on in my head, which you have a very hard time like understanding. That's just like sometimes I'm just thinking of nothing and you're just like,
how?
What do you mean? Like, what? And I'm just like, yeah, just nothing. I can tell you.
I'm like, that's impossible.
So that's why I love that you always have something on your mind and you most often speak it aloud and I just get to listen.
Yeah.
And it's very entertaining.
It should be said that I'm not like an extreme yapper in situations where I'm not comfortable around the people. My favorite people to hang out with are other neurodivergent people.
Yeah.
Because I know that
me being super normal in my brain.
Neurotypical. Don't say normal.
Yeah, I can think of the word. Me being very neurotypical in my brain. I'm shocked that you're with me still. No.
But it's you. I love my friends that are neurodivergent because it's like, I know that when we get together, it can be a chaotic mess of people talking over each other sometimes. But everybody understands that this is just how our brains work. Yeah. And nobody's like, oh, you're interrupting me. Like, it's just like you're bouncing off one another. And it's just so much fun. You're like, I'm talking about this. And then it's a very ADHD thing to do, to be like, oh, that reminds me of something. So now I have to say that now. Yeah. And so then like we suddenly change topics. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that. And it is fun.
It's so funny.
And like you probably are just like observing.
Yeah, I'm just observing. But the thing is, like, although I don't know your brain, I have no idea what it is to be inside your brain. Yeah. Although I would love to know.
I don't know.
It's just like, no, I would love to know. I'm not saying I would love to have it. I'm saying I would love to know.
I would also love to know what it's like in your brain.
Since I am becoming a doctor and I've learned about all these neurodivergent, is that what you said?
Yeah, neurodivergent.
Okay, I was just like divergent.
You can say neurospicy.
Since I've learned about all these neurospicy diagnoses and I am a very empathetic person. I can totally understand.
You can't relate, but you understand.
I can't relate.
Yeah.
But I can understand how maybe you experience the world from your brain.
Yeah.
And empathize.
Yeah. And that is what makes us work as well. Like it's sometimes a neurodivergent and a neurotypical person in a relationship, it's not going to work because you guys just have very different brain chemistry. Yeah. And it's so hard to understand the point of view of one another. That's what makes this work, is that you're very empathetic and over the time we've been together, you've really made an effort to try to understand the way that my brain works, and vice versa. Like, the times that we've never really argued, we never have fights. Yeah. But we've had disagreements for sure. Where we just didn't really see eye to eye. It was mainly out of miscommunication.
Yeah, we haven't had fights. Like our worst disagreements, I guess, always end up with both of us crying.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't mean that. It was like, it was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, like it's always like me on my like I've never been actually mad at you. Whenever we've had like a miscommunication or a disagreement, it's always like I get into my head and been like, fuck, like, why did I do it this way? Why did I react this way? Like all that. And so then I get on myself and then I get really emotional and then it just becomes an emotional scene.
Yeah.
And then we talk it through and then we try to see where did the miscommunication happen.
Yeah. And how can we solve it?
Exactly. And hopefully prevent it in the future.
Yeah.
So we try to be very communicative. We try to talk a lot through all of our thoughts and and that has definitely been that is the way to do it. That's totally what being in a healthy relationship is like talking, because I have no idea what's going on in your head, and specifically because we're different, neurodivergent, neurotypical, like it's sometimes very hard to see where you're coming from until you actually explain it to me, and vice versa. So just being very open to one another and just willing to share and just like be vulnerable. That's the key.
It really is.
But yeah. Okay, so that was that episode.
Yeah, that was the video.
Thank
you so much for watching. Let us know. Maybe ask new questions in the comment section down below.
Yeah.
If you want to know anything else about us, we'll make another part of this.
Or if you have any other ideas for any vlogs / convo episodes. We're calling these podcast-esque episodes convos because, I don't know. It feels less
of a conversation between us.
Yeah, it feels less of a podcast and more of just like a conversation.
Yeah, but if you have any video ideas, like videos you want to see from us, please comment down below.
Absolutely.
Leave a like, hit the notification bell if you haven't, subscribe, all of that. We have our Instagrams and TikToks and everything else that's important down in the description.
Yeah, we have a lot of projects underway now for 2025.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, maybe we could do a video just talking about
2025
and like our goals, our projects.
That might be fun to then like reflect in December of this year, just like, so what did and did not happen.
Yeah, because we're starting a lot of different projects right, like at the same time. And at the moment right now it feels a little overwhelming because there's just so much different things, but I think we're gonna get the hang of it and it's gonna go really well. But it would be interesting to kind of make an early 2025 video and then reflect on that at the end of the year. So let us know if you guys would be interested in seeing that. But yeah.
All right. Bye.